day to Dr. Harris. This video will be a synopsis of our report where we will be explaining every part of our report briefly. We will start the video by explaining the causes of climate change, which is one of the biggest concerns of this century. Scientists say that there is a 95% chance that human activities actually contribute to climate change, such as the increasing burning of fossil fuels like coal and also oil, which releases carbon dioxide to power homes, our factories, vehicles, and more. Nowadays, humans have been consuming more and more animal products which releases methane. So all these gases such as methane, nitrous oxide, and especially carbon dioxide gets released into the air. And when sunlight gets trapped in the Earth's atmosphere, heat will be trapped inside. This is called the greenhouse effect. The more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the more heat gets trapped, strengthening the greenhouse effect, which results in the increasing temperature of the planet.
Steps should be taken as soon as possible in order to combat climate change. From the illustrations provided, it can be seen that climate change has been going around for years. Even in 1970, there was a revolution to save the earth. And nowadays, younger generation and the older generation are working together to protect the earth. This can be seen through the protests in Pakistan, in the European countries, even in Malaysia, and lastly in developing countries such as Kenya. Our report is focusing on how biomass can help achieving sustainable development goals as endorsed by the United Nations, specifically Goal 7 and 13. Among the efforts by United Nations are the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in 1995 and the United Nations Paris Climate Agreement.
From Group 5. Today, on behalf of my group, I will be presenting information regarding biomass energy as well as its benefit, which leads to why it is the best energy resources to combat climate change. First thing first, it has to be noted that climate change is real. According to Australian Academy of Science, climate change can be defined as a change in the pattern of weather, which involve the changes in ocean, land surfaces, and many more. As defined by NASA, it is known as natural phenomenon which can be felt globally, resulting predominantly from the burning of fossil fuel, which encourages heat trapping in the atmosphere. When talking about heat trapping, this means that NASA emphasizes on the heat trap in the Earth's airspace and indirectly suggests that there has been disturbance to the Earth's climate system, resulting in climate change. Global warming is the main cause of climate change, which has led to rising sea level, which such increases occurs out of ordinary. This was proven where NASA has recorded that the past 2 decades, the sea water level has increased by approximately 16 inches compared to the last century. This occurs due to shrinking of ice sheets and glacial retreat in the northern hemisphere for over 5 decades. This phenomenon was caused by the rising temperature of the Earth's surface globally due to the high rate of GHG emission. The energy production sector has been the largest contributors to the increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide gas in the atmosphere, which encourages absorption of outgoing radiative energy and re-emits some of it toward the Earth. In lowering the impact of climate change, the usage of renewable energy would be the best way. There are so many types of energy under the scope of renewable energy. However, the best choice for our country would be no other than biomass energy. Biomass is renewable organic materials that comes from plants and animals. Hence, one as second largest producers of palm oil, Malaysia has lots of waste resources such as agricultural waste, urban waste, and residue, which account to 103 million tons of biomass product, which approximately 91% of biomass can be utilized to replace non-renewable energy like fossil fuel to generate energy for human consumption. The reason why biomass is the most suitable is substitution It's because it's not only could help in saving costs, but it also helps a lot in fulfilling the demand of energy in the future. According to the Renewable 2020 Global Status Report, biomass energy account for the largest shares of renewable energy, whereby bioenergy provided 12% of overall energy consumption in 2018. Research has found that renewable energy like biomass energy power station emits significantly less carbon than fossil fuel power plants. The usage of biomass energy as a renewable energy in replacing the fossil fuel shows the inclination of one particular country to the provision and the Paris Agreement, which Malaysia has been one of the signatory countries. Therefore, where biomass is used to create electricity instead of fossil fuels, carbon dioxide emission will become significantly decreased.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I am Hazmila Izzati and I'm going to talk about how the use of biomass is related in order to achieve the sustainable development goals that is related to our topic. Although the main goal to be discussed related to our topic is Goal 13, which is climate action, however, it is important to discuss Goal 7 and Goal 13 together when it comes to the use of biomass energy. Firstly, I will go through Goal 7 first when it comes to the use of biomass energy in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And firstly, we have the use of feed-in tariff, which offers the opportunity to attract entries from small budget power producers, as the law will provide business risk protection for every new renewable energy investor, which will allow producers and users to sell excess electricity power produced by biomass, biogas, small hydro and solar photovoltaic to the national power grid at a fixed rate and duration stipulated in the law. This can be seen that the biomass the energy used is actually controlled, which can be made accessible and affordable, which is also modern, so more people will be able to use the energy. And although actually this scheme is known as a failure, however, it is actually a great start in achieving SDGs, because we know how we cannot achieve success firstly and immediately. Although the failure happened, as stated in my last slide, it is also still a great start in achieving Goal 7 of the SDG, because which means there is actually effort and improvement in achieving the goals, and this actually may be improved with further discussions, which can be discussed in depth with the authorities that are related. Goal 7 is also helped by the installation of small generators for the consumers for the purpose of generating and compensating energy, which it can be seen a lot, for example, in night market, food trucks. And secondly, it does not allow the sale of surplus of the energy produced to the consumers, so the government can control the selling of energy by avoiding floodgates. Next, the utilization of plantation crops and feedstocks in producing biomass energy through its agricultural waste that may simultaneously solve Goal 7 and Goal 13, which helps the climate action by reducing greenhouse gas emissions and remove carbon dioxide, and then the establishment of the fundamental legal rules to the protection of the environment in order to establish sustainable production, exchange, and the production of biomass in the economic sector, such as goals that are mentioned in our related framework, which are the Renewable Energy Act and the Brazil Constitution. It is also proven that the use of biomass energy contributes to the cost reduction, generation of renewable energy, and it also may create 66,000 jobs, as cited in our framework. And then next we will go into the main goal to be discussed in our topic, which is the use of biomass in order to combat climate change. As I have discussed before, it can be seen that Goal 7 is closely related to Goal 13, because in order to achieve Goal 7, the steps that has been taken will automatically may achieve Goal 13, such as in promoting sustainable forest management, which may ensure environmental sustainability and producing biomass, which may minimize deforestation and reduce air pollution. And then for Entopia, that is often mentioned in our framework and project, it is mainly used in cooking and baking, which puts them at 92% in biomass energy use. It also came out with the Climate Resilient and Green Economy Strategy 2013 to 2030, which is a strategic development project on economic growth, sustainability, and poverty reduction. And biomass may also reduce carbon emissions especially in high biomass consumption, which it points out the biomass relevant energy as a strategy in combating air pollution as a result may automatically help climate change to happen. Lastly, the introduction of policies that are made in accordance with the endorsement by the United Nations Environment Programme, which is to ensure sustainability that is also discussed in Goal 7, is important in order to help the environment and at the same time combating climate change.
I'm Adri and I will be discussing regarding the regulatory framework. So after analysing various articles regarding biomass law in Malaysia, such as the article of a policy framework and industry roadmap model for sustainable oil palm biomass electricity generation in Malaysia, and also the article of generating renewable energy from oil palm biomass in Malaysia, the feed-in tarif. It can be determined that the main law or the main regulatory framework in Malaysia in regulating the renewable energy sources, which is the biomass itself, is the feed-in tariff, or it is called as FIT. This regulatory framework offers opportunity and also business risk protection for renewable energy investor to sell excess electricity power produced by biomass. However, after reading the whole article and various articles, it was considered by the author that it has failed to achieve the main target in generating electricity through biomass, which was caused by various reasons that were stated in the article itself. Due to this failure, thus it is a need for us to actually take into account regulatory framework from other countries such as Thailand, Brazil, and also Ethiopia, so that Malaysia can actually improve our regulatory framework regarding biomass law in Malaysia, so that we can reach the full potential and eventually can combat climate change. There are various articles that we have analyzed in order for us to find the best regulatory framework from various countries, such as the article of institutional and legal framework of the Brazilian energy market, biomass as a sustainable alternative for Brazilian agribusiness, and also the article of biomass and biomass energy in Thailand, potential, opportunity, and barriers. As for Brazil, they have enacted a regulatory framework through Resolution 482/2012 of the National Electric Energy Agency, or it is called as ANEL, which allowed installation of small generators by consumers for the purpose of generating and compensating electricity, which eventually attracted more people in utilizing biomass energy in their daily life. Thailand also was considered as successful in utilizing their regulatory framework in promoting biomass as the main source of their renewable energy when they have launched the Energy Conservation Program, or also known as ENCON, which allocated fund for their citizens, which at the end encourages more participants to be involved in the production of energy through renewable sources. And also Ethiopia managed to came out with the Climate Resilient and Energy Economy, or known as CRGE strategy 2013 to 2030, which demands the users of wood, which is also known as biomass energy, to be part of their main source of energy. So by analyzing all of the above regulatory framework, it should be taken into consideration by Malaysia, so that Malaysia can improve our own regulatory framework, so that our country can actually utilize biomass energy and reaching its full potential, and eventually supporting our main objective, which is to combat the climate change.
The objective of this paper is to understand the significance of biomass energy in combating climate change in order to execute laws and regulations properly. To summarize, biomass is an abundant source of renewable energy that has been well proven in reducing greenhouse gas emissions that lead to climate change as compared to fossil fuels. Guidelines set out by the United Nations and initiative by other countries mentioned can be applied to achieve the highest efficient usage of biomass in order to replace fossil fuels for the purpose of combating climate change in Malaysia. As a country whose agriculture industry contributes to the GDP, Malaysia shall take advantage of existing resources of agricultural waste to produce biomass. However, this country is still far behind in terms of policies related to biomass. Thus, more research on biomass energy is required for its development in Malaysia in order to contribute to the efforts of combating climate change.